Hey everyone, it's your almighty love here, back again with another review, and finally I'm doing the spoiler review for the Loki show. Yes, I'm so excited today because I finally did my review for Loki, which is up on my channel right now if you haven't seen it. And now I'm doing the spoiler review for the Loki show, and I am super excited to talk about the spoilers for the show. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So right off the bat, the first episode really is was a very nice introduction. I love the fact that they did what they did with this. The first episode was they showed that um, Loki is transported to the Mongolian desert. He doesn't know how he got there, and then the TVA capture him, and he's in for questioning in this whole process. And then we meet Mobius, which I think, as you guys know, I think Owen Wilson did such an awesome job as Mobius, and I'm so happy he got casted in that role because, like, he put that level of something we haven't seen in him. We haven't seen Owen Wilson in quite some time. I haven't seen Owen Wilson in quite some time, and it was so finally good to finally see him in in something, in a new type of show. Well, he's more of a film actor, but to see him in a show, this is like his first time being in a show. That was really awesome, and I was so happy he's in this show, and he did such an awesome job. And the chemistry in the first episode, I thought, with Loki and Mobius is super special, and I love their chemistry, and it's really awesome to see them, disagreeing with each other, and Loki especially, because Loki just doesn't want to admit that he's like a bad guy, or he likes to hurt people, but uh, or what should I say? He doesn't want. He just wants to get out. He just doesn't care about this whole TVA. But then you learn that he just doesn't like to enjoy it. He doesn't like to enjoy hurting people, and it just goes in. I love that they go in depth with that part of the story. Like Loki is Loki may be a villain, but he's more than that. He's more than just this. He's more than just a piece of shit, wanting to kill the world, destroy the world, and all that. But he just is a lost soul that just wants this power, but doesn't understand it, how to use it, or if I'm saying that correctly. And I love that part of the show where they go in depth. I mean, in the show, the movies, he gets better, and he's not really like a super smart ass, but it really shows in this first episode that he's more than just a piece of shit. And I was really happy about that, and I loved the chemistry between Mobius and Loki, and I thought they were really they're such an awesome pair, and good sidekicks almost. So I was really happy about that. So yeah, and then we get in the show. Mobius explains that Loki, there's a Loki variant, and he's hiding somewhere in some timeline, and we get to the introduction of that, which was pretty freaking cool. And we don't get to see the variant's face until the next episode. Alrighty, so in the second episode, we get to see Loki working with Mobius and to track down this Loki variant. So, which is pretty awesome. And in the show, they explain that this Loki is hiding in some different timeline, and I love the fact what they did with how this character is hiding in timeline was very neat, because like in the show it explains that this Loki variant is hiding in different natural disasters, and which I thought was really cool, because in natural disasters you have this big thing coming, and you can't really find this person, because this person can be anywhere. With other timelines, it's like, other timelines you can hide, but like with this, it's like it's bigger, so it's like you could try to track him, but it's very hard because it's of this the natural disaster. And in the show, it talks about in the second episode, they go to different, two different events, two different natural disasters. They go to the they go to Pompeii, which is as you guys know, Pompeii in AD, and they think that the Loki's variant's there, but uh, the Loki variant is not there. And then they go to the Roxcart uh, timeline, or the 2050 Alabama timeline, and they find the Loki there, and the Loki is a she, and then the different timelines come popping all together, and that's the first introduction of the Loki, and this is like the first time where we get to see another version of Loki, and it makes us think, and all of us think, that the multiverse is a possibility, and it could happen, and that's exactly what we thought in the second episode, because when we found the other variants of Loki. So yeah, and that was really cool that they did that, and I love the fact that they made this Loki hide in different natural disasters, which I thought was a really cool thing. And then the second episode, what really got everybody's mind crazy about was not crazy. I wouldn't say crazy, but like what everybody got really interested in was the whole fact that Loki had a '90s magazines and with jet skis, and you know that was a very special part of the show, and I know everyone was dying to see whether that was gonna happen, and I mean, hopefully we get to see this. You have to find out in the spoiler review, and I really that's what everyone was going crazy about, and I love the fact that you know Mobius has an obsession with the '90s, and he loves jet skis, and everybody's theorizing that he is from the '90s timeline. So yeah, and that's pretty awesome, and I love the fact that they did that. This was a part of the show, and yeah, the second episode really did something. It was also really such a nice episode, just like the first. I think they did. I think what happened was really awesome, and yeah, and it was really cool, and the introduction of Lady Loki got us thinking that anything is possible, no matter what. So yeah, anything is possible in the MCU. So yeah, that's all I have to say. So then after that, we get to the third episode, and the third episode introduces. That's when we get the full introduction to Lady Loki, and both Lady Loki and Loki are trapped on another timeline in 2077 in Lamentis One, and Lamentis One. I think it's a planet close to. I think it's like a planet. I don't remember. I think it was a planet close to Ego or something. I forget what it was close by, or it was like close to some to a Kree planet or Titan. I don't remember. Whatever. But Lamentis is in the show, in 2077. You know, TVA agents tried to hunt down in the beginning of the show. TVA agents tried to hunt down this Loki. This Loki, sorry, this Loki variant. They catch they catch her, and she's there. But then Loki and Lady Loki, they both escape, and they go to Lamentis One, and you get to see in this one you get to see the full chemistry also between Lady Loki and Loki, and it's also another, like, the chemistry between them is also really just as fantastic as the chemistry in with Mobius and Loki. In this, you have Lady Loki and Loki, and they're kind of different in their own mind, but the Loki is cocky. This Loki, the regular Loki is cocky, but the Lady Loki is not super cocky, and just is trying to find other ways in the show, and you get to see that in this episode, and it was really cool to see Lady Loki and Loki interact, and I was really happy about that, and you get to see Lady Loki fight, which is pretty awesome, and yeah, I mean, the third episode did such a really awesome job with exploring Lady Loki and Loki, and that they may be the same bit, they may be the same, but they may be the same Loki, but they're different inside. Like they're not exactly the same. They're not like cocky. Like one Loki's cocky, but the other one isn't, and I love that. I love that they did that, and it really was like, they evolved. They kind of hated each other. They didn't know what to do with each other, and then after that, they, what's the word I'm trying to look for? They they try to understand and understand each other in a way, and that's pretty awesome. So yeah, what else is there to say about this show? In the show, we also get to see that they try to find a way. They're trying to find a way to different. They're trying to find them back to the TVA, or try to charge the TVA time traveling device, and we get to see that, and that's pretty cool. And then we get to see the most epic scene yet, where Loki and Lady Loki are in the moon's about to fall off, and they're trying to get to the spaceship, but everything is falling apart. All these buildings, and they're defeating enemies, and then the spaceship crashes, and that's the end, and they leave it off on a huge cliffhanger for episode 3. And then also in the show, they mentioned something very specific and very important, that the TVA agents are also variants, and they were brainwashed and taken to TVA to, to be their, almost like their slaves, and brainwashed and thinking that they are made by the timekeepers, but when they're actually just human beings like the rest of us. So yeah, and that was also such an awesome introduction to see, and I kind of knew that something like this was gonna happen before episode 2, or before episode 3, because I read some rumors read some theories about this, but I also kind of knew in my heart that they're actually human beings, and that there are actually variants, and they're not made by the timekeeper. So yeah, and in the show, they show in the beginning of the show where one of the TV agents was living a normal life, and then she remembers this life, but what's the word I'm trying to look for? But she can't get back. She can't get back into this. She tries to remember. She remembers his life, but she's still. I don't really know how to say it. Let's just forget about it. But you could see it in the first part of episode 3, and that was pretty cool. So yeah. Alrighty, so then we have episode 4, which we finally get to see the cliffhanger that would happen already, and Lady Loki and Loki are together, and they're both holding hands while Lamentis is getting destroyed by the moon, and one of the moon asteroids falls onto the Lamentis, and shit happens, and then TVA capture them, and they're in for questioning. So yeah, but this was also another interesting episode. We get to finally see some very interesting things, and we get to see some things that we heard about in the third episode, now in this one. So we get to so in this one, Loki tells Mobius that he's just a variant like him, and that the TVA is a whole lie, and and that he's not made by the timekeepers, and that's how we knew, that's how we were theorizing that he was just a regular guy, and like everyone else, like he was just a regular person with a regular normal life and not made by the timekeepers. So yeah, and then after that we get to see in the show a very interesting cameo and a character we haven't seen on screen in quite some time, and that is Lady Sif. So yes, it's been about almost 8 years since we've seen a Lady Sif on the big screen, and she's finally here, and it's great to see her. And she's gonna be in Thor: Love and Thunder, but she basically slaps Loki, many times. It's a time loop, so Mobius sends Loki there because Mobius thinks that he's lying, and that he doesn't want to believe him because because Mobius thinks that he's just a liar, and yeah, and that's all I have to say. So that's how it is, and in the show we get to see if if as in the beginning of the show we heard that the TVA is how did they get these people, and how did they how did this how did is if that is the whole timekeepers making these people a reality. So we get a lot of very interesting questions, and then we get into the biggest part at the end of the show, where we finally reveal that the TVA and the timekeepers were completely, well, the timekeepers was fake, but TVA, who was really behind the TVA, and that's when we were theorizing that King the Conqueror was he was behind all this, and yeah, so there was a very interesting episode, and one of the B-15 in the show, or not, yeah, B-15 also realizes that that her reality is not what it seems, and that she also had a normal life as well. So most of these TVA agents have had normal. Well, some of these TVA agents had a real life, but we don't, or most of them also had normal lives until they got into this stuff and brainwashed. So yeah, and then what else do we? What else happened in the show? So, very surprising moments. Obviously, we get to see Mobius get pruned, and then we have a big battle, TVA fight scene, and Loki gets pruned, and Loki almost confesses his love to to Lady Loki, and yeah, but he doesn't get the chance to do that, and then Loki is pruned and is sent to another world, which I'll get into, and then we have and then Lady Loki is wanting questions from from the judge of the show, or Renslayer, I think that's her name, or no, not Ren, Ravonna. I think her name, no, Ravonna. It was Ravonna. I just say the TVA judge. But then we get to the surprising moment, which also we also thought was like, oh, this is definitely possible, and that is that we get to see 3 different Lokis. We get to see a kid Loki, and then we get to see a kid Loki. We get to see Bastful Loki, and then after that, we get to see the classic Loki, and I knew that we were going to get the chance to see different types of Lokis in the show, because it was rumored before whatchamacallit, before during the casting, the cast, everyone was predicting that one of the actors was gonna play a Loki, and in the beginning and even before the episode, there was different rumors and all that there was gonna be Kid Loki and other different types of Lokis in the show, and we get to finally see the three different Lokis, which makes us believe that the multiverse is a possibility, and we could get the chance to see other characters from the past Marvel movies, not like non MCU films, into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's pretty fucking cool. And yeah, that's all I have to say. And you get to see that. And I knew before even watching episode 3 that or episode 4 that we were going to get the chance to finally see the different types of Lokis, and now we got the chance to see the Lokis in the show, and that is pretty freaking cool. And alligator, also, yeah, alligator Loki as well. So yeah, and then after that we get in episode 5 the explanation of why he's here and why he's with these Lokis. So um as you know, there was theories that if you see in the trailer, there was a destroyed New York City, and all that, and everyone's theorizing that in this alternate reality, Loki destroyed New York City and the world, and the Avengers are dead. But it's not that. It's a world. It's called Alive, and It's like a world where everything's dropped, and a lot of things are there and crushed, like crushed up New York, a Thanos copter, many other things, and it's different variants and all that, and a big cloud that kind of wants to kill you, or it does want to kill you, in the sense. So, yeah, but you get to see that in this show, and Alive is pretty cool, and it's very unique to the MCU, and we were all speculating whether this was a fucked up New York, or or a destroyed New York by Loki or whatever, but it's not. So yeah, but it was a really cool introduction. I love that they introduced the different types of Lokis, and yeah, and all these other characters, and the Lokis that are shown in the show, they're described they described their own events, which I kind of forgot a little bit about, but one of the characters, the classic Loki, had to do with Thanos, and Loki, the kid Loki, he kills his own brother, but the other one, I forget the name, but in the classic Loki, Thanos does exist in this world, and in his world, I meant to say, but yeah, but I can specifically remember that but Lady Loki definitely killed, not Lady, Kid Loki killed, Thor in the show. So, yeah, they give their backgrounds, and they give who they are, what they are, and how they got in here, and what's their backstory. So, yeah, and I really like that. And what else is there in the show? So they introduce all their backstories, and we'll get to finally see Mobius and Sylvie, and Sylvie prunes herself, and Ravonna doesn't want to give out, or the TVA judge doesn't want to give out the information of who's behind this, so she prunes herself, and they're all in this. And in the show, classic Loki doesn't want to sacrifice for Loki, and Lady Loki and Loki want to get behind the cloud, and use and get to the one who remains, or who remains, the cloud, or the what's behind the cloud. So in the later episode, the cloud comes and destroys the battleship, and Mobius gets back into the TVA, and Loki and Lady Loki tried to stop the cloud. They can't really stop the cloud until classic Loki comes in and sacrifices himself and wants to whatchamacallit, and classic builds an Asgard, makes his own Asgard, and tries to defeat the classic Loki, and then he sacrifices himself and dies. And then Lady Loki has her enchantment, but then Loki gets his own enchantment, and they both have an enchantment, and then they open up the Goliath cloud, and that's when the cliffhanger begins. So then we get to episode 6, which then reveals the big, most exciting part, and I gotta say, this is my favorite episode, and probably the best episode for me, and I love this episode to death, and we finally understand the He Who Remains, and that's Kang the freaking Conqueror, and it's Jonathan Majors as Kang the freaking Conqueror, but it's a good variant, and he explains that that he is a good variant, and that the backstory behind his other variants, and that he in the 31st century, his variant is a scientist who discovered the multiverse, and in that he meets his other variants. Some are good, some are bad, and then the whole multiverse war came together, and lots of shit was happening, and it talks about how he made Goliath and the Goliath Beast, and the Goliath Cloud, the Goliath Beast, and he made that, and so nobody could go to him, and he made a Goliath, and he also talks about how he tracked how how he made the TVA, and how after the multiversal war ended, he got the chance to track the flow of time and make the TVA, which makes sure that no one is messing up with the timeline and the whole reality of time. So yeah, we get to see that in this show, and then we have a scene where Sylvie, where we get to see Sylvie, and Sylvie thinks that he's lying and that he's a bad variant, and that if the good Loki is dead, the other variants are gonna pop out, and it's not gonna be good. So yeah, and then Loki's trying to prevent that, but Lady Loki doesn't. Lady Loki still wants to kill him, and then Lady Loki have a big battle, big fight, and Loki tries to prevent it, and then Lady Loki and Loki, they both kiss, and then Lady Loki, Sylvie, kicks Loki into the TVA, and Sylvie, Lady Loki, then kills the good variant of Kang, and then the whole multiverse breaks out, and then the whole and then the whole multiverse pops out, and then another multiversal war comes together, and then we get to see the Kang the Conqueror, or different types of Kangs the Conqueror. Well, we don't get to see it now, but we'll get to see it soon when Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium comes out. And then, what else to say about this? So yeah, and then Loki says that that the whole different 36 realities pop up, and that Sylvie killed the good Loki, and then that another multiversal war is gonna happen, and then different types of variants of Kang are coming, and it's gonna be very terrible, and then after that we get to see the statue of Kang, but sadly we don't get to see an ending where Mobius is on the jet ski. He's wondering who Loki is, because the reality changed, and who is he, where does he work, and all that, and then he just leaves on a huge cliffhanger, and then we get to wonder what's gonna happen next, and then we get to a post credit scene, and then season 2 is about to happen. So yeah, that's the best I can explain to you guys. But season 6 was my favorite episode, and it wasn't a perfect. It wasn't we were all expecting Mobius to get the perfect ending, but sadly, we didn't get to expect that. But hopefully for season 2, we do get to expect that to happen. So yeah. I think season 6 was an amazing episode. I loved Kang, and I love what happened in episode 6, and the different types, the explanation of the multiverse, and the multiverse of war, and the TVA and Goliath, and that Sylvie killed this good variant, which popped out the whole multiverse, and yeah, this was my favorite episode so far, and I was really impressed by that. So that's my spoiler review for Loki, and I honestly can't wait to see the future of the MCU, because after that moment of what just happened, the MCU is about to get a whole lot more interesting. Because we know for a fact, with Spider-Man No Way Home coming out, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium, so much shit's about to happen. It's about to be crazy. And honestly, I can't wait for this. And yeah, so I loved episode 6. I think that was my favorite episode. But the whole show has been really awesome, and I was really happy about this. And every episode was interesting and made me want to watch it the second time. And I'm gonna watch this series again. I really enjoyed it, and I honestly can't wait to see what they could do with season 2. And I hope we get to finally see Mobius on the jet ski, and some really crazy shit. So yeah, that was my spoiler review for Loki and season 1, and I hope you enjoyed. Peace.